Unique stories that define our state's character. Here's Kevin Mackey with this week's Montana Moment, brought to you by Montana Chevy Dealers.
It was World War II America. Troops were coming home and going back to work. Seeley Lake was booming, bustling place. The oldest continuously operating business in Seeley is a bar that unites the period with the contemporary. Kevin Mackey brings us stories of Eddie Coyle.
The filling station sits just east of Seeley Lake. Chris Martin owns and operates the bar and casino. Before Montana, Chris had worked in casinos from Lake Tahoe to the Bahamas.
I always wanted to go to Montana, so I came here looking for a business.
She found it in Seeley. 3 principal owners owned the bar before Chris. Don Larson owned and operated it for more than 20 years. He gave the filling station its name.
One of these gasoline pumps here is from Charles Lindbergh's ranch.
But before it was the filling station, it was Key Bar Resort. That was Eddie Coyle's bar.
He was such a pioneer. He built this thing from scratch.
The University of Montana journalism grad had been invited into a PhD program at the University of Florida. The decision to buy the bar was made on a coin toss.
Heads, it would be a PhD program in Florida, and tails would be a bar in Montana.
It was tails. Don says Eddie Coyle and his wife treated him like a son.
They kind of mentored me, and he loved to come over and shoot pool. He would come over and chit-chat while I was cleaning the bar in the morning.
Don was a Thompson Falls kid. His dad was a mill worker. Eddie's bar was a good fit.
He catered to the loggers and the lumbermen, the mill workers, and he definitely was a blue-collar working-class bar.
I am very familiar with this bar.
Ron Richards is a retired logger, mill worker, and saw filer.
It would be filled with loggers and wives, young people.
The Key Bar Resort opened in 1947. Eddie Coyle trucked a little building to Seeley from Missoula.
He had basically 1 shot glass and 1 bottle of liquor when he first started.
Coyle was a photographer who took candid pictures of his patrons.
He was a very affable guy.
A born promoter, he had live music, dancers, bathing beauty contests.
He had a regatta.
And had boxing on the dance floor.
He brought boxers from all over Montana into here to box.
Eddie was a boxer himself. He didn't tolerate bar fights.
He was a small man, but he was an excellent boxer, and so he regularly used his fists to enforce discipline.
And his wife, Jerry, what a lady. I mean, she was fantastic.
His wife, Jerry, ran the restaurant. They called her the First Lady of Seeley Lake.
Jerry, first of all, she was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful woman.
And he always hired beautiful bartenders, and he had a beautiful wife, so that didn't hurt his business a bit.
And he told stories.
I would sit on their living room floor and listen to the stories.
Like the time a bear came behind the bar.
And how they all had to run out of here and they had to wait him out.
In the late 40s, 50s, and 60s, Seeley Lake was, of course, a booming logging and lumber town. There was money to spend, and Eddie Coyle's bar was the place to spend it.
On the weekends, we'd come down to the bar and bring the wife, kind of enjoy life a little bit and do a little dancing.
Movie stars June Allison and Dick Powell visited the bar. So did Montana native Kirby Grant, star of the radio and television series Sky King.
And he would say, "Son, you got to promote that bar." I took his lesson seriously, and I had a very successful bar business for 20 years.
He had a huge ego. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because it's that ego that told those stories.
Eddie's original building has been extensively expanded, but Chris loves the old part as a colorful piece of history.
It's important that we can find a place to gather, and that hasn't changed.
It's an institution, says Don, built around the personalities of Eddie and Jerrie Coyle. Kevin Mackey, NBC, Montana. If you want to watch this story again, or if you missed one of my previous stories, you can watch every Montana Moment in a special segment on our website at nbcmontana.com.